Just about ready here. Let me grab this stuff from under the door. Don't need that. We can clean up a bit. And I think we're good. Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and I'm going to lead a mindfulness meditation session here. If you're new, welcome. I'm going to talk briefly about meditation, why I think it's awesome, will help improve your life in so many different ways. So pull up a chair, or if you're already seated, even better. Nicole, you made it. What's up? Did you not have work today? I'm so excited. Okay. Are you ready for a half hour of meditation? Is this your first time? Oh, nice. I just wrapped up my morning workout, which is pretty good. Awesome. So, no, it was great. I mean, as great as a home workout can be, as I mentioned during the workout, it's not quite the same as going to the gym. I mentioned this to you last night, actually. But I'm getting better at using the bands to tax various muscles. And because I'm not fatiguing my muscles as much, I can actually work out every day. Whereas when I go to the gym, I definitely have to take a day off from the gym, maybe even 2, depending on the particular day, how hard I go, etc. So it's nice to be able to kind of get a little bit of a workout in every day. Yep, you and the emergency that brought me up here. But yeah, I think in general, a little bit of a workout every day is fine. I'll just kind of play it by ear and see how my body feels, and probably take at least one full day off where I don't do any movement. So is this your first meditation session? I just want to get a sense of where I should begin. At the very, very beginning, or, okay. Sounds good. Chef, yeah. All right, so let's just get started, but let me just start with a quote and just talk very briefly about that. This one is by Sam Harris, and he says, "The point of meditation is to recognize what consciousness is like prior to identification with thought." Now, if you use the Waking Up app, which I highly recommend. I can give you 3 months free trial with my link in my email, which I will give to you and all the viewers right now. If you use the Waking Up app, you'll notice that Sam uses this phrase a lot, identification with thought. And I didn't really understand what that meant at first. And it took me a while to sort of like go through the meditations and get it. And basically what he means is this: when you identify with thoughts, it's like when you fuse with a thought, when you think you are the thought. It's kind of hard to describe, so maybe I'll give an example. Think about the difference between the following 3 phrasings. I am sad. I feel sad. I am aware of sadness within me. Right? They all fundamentally mention sadness, but the perspective is slightly different. The first one, I am sad, is the person is feeling sad. They have a sadness feeling within them, and they're identifying with that sadness. They're saying, I am sad. They are the sadness. The next one is a bit of a step back, right? It's the person realizing, I'm not necessarily sad. It's just that I feel sad. I'm Nathan, and I'm sad right now, but I am not equivalent to the sadness. And the third one is even more of a step back. It's this idea that, I'll say it again, I am aware of sadness. It's when you are really, truly aware that feelings and thoughts and sensations, for example, sadness or anger or excitement, these are just temporary emotions that pass through us. They aren't us. We are separate from that. These are just passing sensations. So with meditation, you become more and more aware that all the things that cross your consciousness, everything that comes before your mind, is just a fleeting occurrence. And you no longer have to fuse with it. And of course, this fusing is a huge part of why a lot of people struggle with mental health issues, because they're constantly thinking and manufacturing the same emotions over and over again. Emotions like sadness, right? In normal healthy human beings, right? If you look at especially human beings that are pre-conquest, these human beings are, anthropologists have studied tribal peoples that have never been conquered. They don't have the same mindset that modern humans have, right? They have the more liminal consciousness. They live more in their bodies, right? They experience emotions, and it's very real, it's very there. They're sad, and then it passes through them. It is only modern man, it is only us who tend to experience emotions and then bottle it up. And we think about it over and over, and we feel sad, and we feel sad, and we keep manufacturing this sadness that gets stuck within us, causes a lot of pain, and sometimes causes deep traumas that affect us for the rest of our lives. So one way that meditation helps, among many of the ways that I'm going to introduce in these sessions, is that meditation helps you recognize that these feelings that you have, these sensations that we all have, these are all just fleeting. We don't have to identify with them, cling to them, fuse with them. We can just notice them. We can embrace them with open arms and let them flow through us. And in that, we'll notice that these emotions pass very quickly. In fact, with enough practice with mindfulness, you'll notice that it's really difficult to stay angry for more than a few minutes. Same thing with sadness, right? You'll notice that it's just a feeling, and you'll learn how to discharge it properly, and it will pass, and it won't burden you anymore. So this is just, again, one way that mindfulness is incredibly powerful. And with that said, let's start the meditation. Oh yeah, so, well, thank you. And I'll send a link to the Waking app later, but of course, any of you can always just follow my stream. I'm going to meditate every day with the goal of meditating once in the afternoon, once in the evening for an hour a day. So let's begin. Can you find a comfortable position, right? Here's a chair. I suggest sitting on the edge of the chair, kind of forward like this. You don't want to be sitting back in the chair because eventually you'll slouch and it'll be bad for your posture. So I suggest taking a comfortable, slightly forward position in your chair, an upright posture, and close your eyes. And I want you to place your awareness on your breath, wherever it feels strongest to you. So you might feel it in your nose, or in your throat, or your chest. Wherever it's the most prominent to you, let that be your anchor. And focus on it. Cover your whole breath with your attention. From the inhale all the way through the exhale. And the inhale through the exhale. Now I'll explain why we do this practice and what it's for. But I also want to give you some space to engage the practice without me chattering. So rest assured, if you're not sure what you're doing, more will come in time. For now, just focus on your breath, on that anchor point where it feels most prominent to you. Try to look at it in your mind's eye as if you've never looked at it before, as if you've never experienced it. The rising and falling of your chest, the wind rushing in and out. Explore that area. Just try to stay with your breath. It's okay if you hear other sounds and you notice them briefly. Maybe there's a ambulance siren in the distance. I'm here to help you, holy cow. You're just in time. It's okay if you notice other things. Just gently pull your attention back to your breath. The goal here is to stay focused on this one anchor point, your breath, because it's always right now. Your breath always happens now, in the present moment. Now you'll notice that this can be kind of difficult. You'll be focused on your breath, but then a few seconds later, your mind will have wandered. Maybe you'll be thinking about what you're going to eat later today, or all the stuff that you have to do in the afternoon, the errands you have to run. Or maybe you're thinking about the past, something that happened to you a couple days ago. It's still in your mind. Or maybe there's an ache in your back. You keep thinking about it. Why is it there? Do I deserve this ache? What did I do? Right? You'll get distracted from your breath for any of a number of reasons. And this is perfectly normal. This happens to everybody. What I want you to do is when you notice that you're distracted and no longer focused on your breath, don't judge yourself. Just gently pull your attention back to your breath. Right? This is the exercise. It's focusing on your breath, invariably getting distracted a few moments later, noticing that distraction, and then pulling your attention back to the breath. This particular practice is one of the core techniques of mindfulness meditation. And it is this one technique that can get you all the way to enlightenment, according to the Buddha himself. I could teach you nothing else, and you could become enlightened with this. So it's very powerful and very simple. So let's try that. And again, whenever you notice you're distracted, that's great. That's a success, actually. That's exactly what we're trying to do, is notice when we're distracted, and then gently pull our attention back to the breath. if you were able to see my video from the last few days, I go into more detail about the biology of how this practice works. Right, because this practice was invented thousands of years ago, far before we knew anything about cells and neurons and brains. But it's actually deeply rooted and in alignment with science. So you can check out that video later on. But in a nutshell, we're strengthening the connections in our brain with this practice. Anything you do, any thinking you do a lot, becomes a pattern in that you strengthen the neuronal connections regarding that particular thing that you do. For example, if it's a skill, driving, cooking, right? You're strengthening the connections in your brain with regard to that activity. Likewise, we're doing this with meditation. And specifically, we're strengthening the connections in our brain surrounding three things. Focus, which is our awareness, that kind of spot that we can place in our mind on specific things. We're strengthening our ability to notice things, such as noticing when we're distracted, or our meta-awareness. And we're strengthening our ability to redirect our focus back to a particular target. In this case, our anchor, which is our breath. And that's executive control. By focusing on our anchor, such as our breath, we're strengthening the connections in our brain that allow us to stay focused on what we want to focus on longer. So that in the future, you're able to be, next time I'll cover myself up with a blanket. But that's great. You're noticing. You're noticing. And that's the second thing we're training. The connections we're training in our brain is our ability to notice when we have gotten distracted. Because it's going to happen. No one does this exercise and is able to focus for 60 seconds without getting distracted. If they could, they would be enlightened. Very few people have attained that. The vast majority of people will last only a few seconds before they get distracted. When you train, you might be able to go 10, 15, 20 is pushing it. And so we're going to get distracted. The second part is noticing when we're distracted. How quickly do you notice your distraction? Is it right away, or do you get distracted for 5 minutes and then you're like, wait, I'm distracted, right? So this noticing we're distracted is key. We're also strengthening those connections. And the last part, as I said, is our redirection, our executive control. We're strengthening our ability to redirect our attention back to where we want it to go. This one simple practice, focusing on the breath, getting distracted, noticing it, and then redirecting, affects all three of those areas. So let's practice that for a minute.